Hello everyone and welcome.
Hello.
So we're on our Faith Roots podcast, and we're also doing this as a special edition of Afternoon Tea.
Is that right?
Yes.
Hello, Dave.
Hello Sarah.
What
This
is
is
that?
my wife Sarah.
Hi, everyone.
You know what Afternoon Tea is or was, because that was something we did together through the pandemic.
Yeah, so it's been a while. A lot's happened since the start of the pandemic, hasn't it?
It has. Why did you stop showing up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon?
I was at work.
You were at work? Ah.
Yes. So a lot of things have changed and so on since. But yeah, some things never change. We're back here again with our tea and coffee here.
Not in the same cup.
No, that is true. And gonna do a little bit of talking.
The
a bit of
infamous
chatting.
Bradford City Cup. Let's return.
Yes, indeed. Proud image of Valley Parade.
Yeah. So you were back at the workplace rather than working from home. When did that kick in?
So at different points in the pandemic, I was back at work and so on. So I work in a school. I've been back there.
Specifically, you're a
full-time.
teacher, because
Yeah.
I mean, working in a school could be the janitor, the security guard who shoots intruders, the lab technician, the head teacher.
Janitor's American. You've been watching too much TV again.
You've got a caretaker, isn't he? So a caretaker.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm a teacher, and I've been back at school full time since September.
Mm-hmm. And what do you teach?
I teach English
Mm-hmm. And who do you teach?
to teenagers.
Two. That's
I
fantastic.
teach English to teenagers.
All right, you teach English to teenagers, yeah. So,
Yeah.
what was it like going back?
It was really good. I must say that it was lovely to be back in the swing of things. It's lovely to be back to something resembling normal life. It hasn't always been completely normal. I've had some masking, we do a lot of hand sanitising, but it's been good just to
So,
get
are
back into the
schools
swing of things.
riddled with COVID? Are they dangerous hotspots of danger?
Yeah.
That's what sort of the Daily Mail and everything is saying, isn't it?
There's COVID in schools like there is everywhere, but no, it's not been too bad at all.
Mm-hmm. And did you have to mask?
A few times at different points, but most of the time we're not in masks now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know someone who runs a school for horses.
Is that right?
Yeah, and they have to wear facial protection. In fact, so do the horses
Mm-hmm.
and the foals and things. Yeah, so you get the idea of mascarpone from.
You've had too many Christmas crackers, too many Christmas cracker jokes.
That's not even a Christmas cracker. That's just totally my own.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Worked hard on that one.
Excellent.
Yeah. Probably made a fool of myself.
Did you say
Oh,
foal with
I did,
myself?
yes.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Well, so yes, all this time has improved your humour, and
Indeed. Yeah. And so how have the children sort of coped with all of that pandemics and masks and social distancing?
really surprisingly well, I would say. It's obviously been a real challenging time for everyone in the whole of society and everything that's happened, but I've been really impressed all the way through with their approach, with their stoicism, with their just willingness to get on with it. It's been really good.
And how do teachers feel about going back to Omicron?
Just again, I think I would say there's reasonable level of concern in some ways. There's some hesitation and so on, but we're just determined to do the best we can for the students and to really get on with it. And it'd be good to be back in a couple of days.
So, thought it'd be good to sort of catch up end of the year, so have a look back at last year, think about things coming up, what to look forward in to the year ahead, what we might be expecting as well. We were going to do a podcast together for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
So that would have been called Together at Christmas and sort of a Cliff Richard sort of homage sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of his lesser known Christmas songs.
But
You
still
did
very
need
good.
to know that, yeah. But, yeah, all about catching planes and trains and stars and things like that.
Mm.
Yeah. So,
Why didn't we do a Christmas podcast?
because you were ill,
I was indeed, yes.
you were diseased.
I was very diseased.
Yeah, the
and
screen would
much
have been
improved.
showered with snot.
Oh, Dave, really?
It would have been, it's true.
Well, I was very diseased, but not with COVID,
No,
just
with
with a
COVID,
regular old disease,
yeah.
and I'm a lot better now, so that's all good news.
Which is one of the fascinating things, isn't it? That that we are so focused on COVID now that it is obviously still possible to have other bits of lurgy and things, and probably you wouldn't have wanted to sort of share those particular germs with anyone either.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, best kept to myself.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering, do you think COVID is going to change people's attitude to like illnesses and sort of colds and flus? The whole sort of presenteeism, the expectation that you should struggle into work unless you were sort of completely physically incapable. Do you think that's going to change a bit?
I don't know. I think it's a bit half and half, really. I think in some ways people have said, yes, you should. If you're ill, then you should take time off. It doesn't matter what the illness is. Then if you're ill, then just don't go into work. Which is a good thing because, like I said, people have struggled in over the years under presenteeism, just having to always show up no matter what happens.
Yeah.
On the other side, perhaps there's a risk if people say, oh, well, you can't be that ill because you've not got COVID. So then people go into work with other things.
Yeah.
So maybe it'll only change things in terms of sort of colds or COVID type symptoms.
Yeah. And to be honest, sort of what you had before Christmas was just a pretty heavy cold, but not just heavy, but it was a heavy cold.
Exactly, it's fine.
And I've had similar sort of losing my voice and sneezing and hacking a lung and that kind of thing, but tested that kind of thing, but tested negative for COVID. It's important to stay negative through the pandemic, isn't it?
Well, yes, normally we're told to stay positive, aren't we?
Yeah.
But staying negative is a much better idea.
Yeah. But I wouldn't have wanted to share that with anybody, particularly wouldn't have wanted like mums and dads and elderly relatives to sort of catch that either, because it could still be quite kind of nasty. I just wonder whether things will change. I think people assume that in like Japan and Taiwan and places like that, where you've seen for years the sort of the people wearing face masks, that is them being sort of nervous about germs generally. But I understand that is more a case of people choosing to wear a face mask when they themselves have a cold or flu type symptoms and things, and maybe we'll see a bit more of that. Maybe a bit more flexibility of people working from home, maybe going to work but not sort of crowding into meetings if you're a bit run down, that kind of thing, and using Teams and Zoom, those kind of things. Maybe we'll see a bit more of that. Yeah. But people have quickly reverted. I remember sort of catching the bus or the train a few months back, and people were sort of like sat spaced out. Now they're just like, yeah, we'll just cram back in.
Yeah.
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 And that seems to have gone quite quickly. So maybe it won't make much difference at all.
No, we found ourselves in different positions at times of the pandemic, haven't we? And different. There's the sort of broad understanding people are going to return to things at their own pace and find what they're mostly comfortable with. Yeah, there's going to be a big spread within that. So some people who are still
I like a big spread. Talking about actually it's back to Christmas.
Eating a lot of food at Christmas, haven't
Yeah.
So there'll be some people who are saying that the idea of even getting on a bus or train at all at the moment is just completely not happening, whereas some, like you said, will be crowding on. It's all about taking things in your own rhythm, in your own time, isn't it?
Yeah. So if we'd done the Christmas edition,
Yes.
I was going to ask you what your favourite Christmas carol was and why it's Christian Awake the happy one.
It is not Christians Awake, because you're the only person in the world who loves that one the most.
I'm trying to be others as well.
Well, if you are writing, you know who you are. My favourite Christmas carol, overall, on balance, with a lot of strong contenders in the field, is Silent Night.
Who were the strong contenders?
We've got the big classics like Hark the Herald, and Away in the Manger.
Yeah, Angela from the Realms.
Yes, Angels from the Realms. Yeah, little typo there, your keyboard, a letter across. Oh, Come On You Faithful. So there are a lot of very strong Christmas carols. But
so why do you like Silent Night?
On balance, Silent Night. I think I like the peace and quiet of it all. You know, I know that a lot of people say, of course, the birth of Jesus not very peaceful. Birth is not a peaceful thing usually, and things like that, and so on. But I think after all of it's quite a busy story. There's obviously a lot going on. You've got a census and people moving, and people running around, angels, shepherds, wise men. But then you've got that sort of silence, that kind of not just sort of a silence, like an absence of things, but that kind of peace that descends, and that's in the last line of the first verse, isn't it? Sleep in heavenly peace. Yeah. The idea of perfect peace coming to the world, and the rest that comes in that. And yeah, the words are quite simple, but really powerful and beautiful, very potent words as well. So I like it.
Yeah. I talked a bit about that on the Daily Dose. I didn't do Silent Night, which is partly why I was giving you the opportunity to say something about it now. Other carols like It Came from the Midnight Clear or Little Town of Bethlehem have that sort of imagery of peace away in the manger. And if we were meant to be treating them as this is literally how it was, so literalistic approach, you say, well, that's nonsense. Yeah, childbirth is not peaceful and quiet. Not just because when you look carefully at the accounts, the legends of stables and things like that, and inns are a misunderstanding that it would have been in a family home in the middle of the business of family life. But I think the carol writers are trying to convey that idea of God brings true peace. So there's a peace in the stillness that transcends through the mess of life. And that's important because that's what we are saying as Christians, not that you become a Christian or you go to church and it takes you out of the busyness and the normality and the hustle and bustle of life, out of all of the pressures and fears of the world, but more into there is a peace that enables you to live through the storm.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we're not so as what I said a moment ago. We're not saying peace is just absolutely nothing going on. It's that contentment. Is that a synonym for peace?
I don't think the English teacher.
Yeah, it's on the way to it, isn't it? Yeah, the idea of having that peace, that rest, that satisfaction, that contentment, whichever word around that you want to say. Actually, yes, things are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's an idea of sort of completeness to it as well. Yeah,
which means you can. And so the last line of that first verse again is sleep in heavenly peace. Yeah, when you've got that kind of rest, that calm, then you can sleep. You can be at rest. You can be at peace.
Yeah. So, what else do you? I assume that you like Christmas.
I do like it. It's
a bit strange after all these years to discover that you didn't.
Yes.
So what else do you like about Christmas? And what has this Christmas been? Because it's still not been completely normal, has it? Particularly with Omicron.
Yeah. Do you always say it in that voice?
I feel like I should.
Yes, fair enough.
It's just a Greek letter of the alphabet. You don't go, oh! But it sounds quite scary, does this one, doesn't it? It sounds like a sort of transformer or something, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a little bit Marvel University Omicron.
Yeah.
Yes. It's not been completely normal, but there's been a lot of things that are back to normal-ish. It certainly felt a lot more normal overall, I would say, than certainly last year when everything was called off, wasn't it?
It was, yes.
So I have, one thing I love about Christmas is getting together with friends and family. And we've been able to do that this Christmas. We've been...
Yeah, if we didn't see you, it's not because you aren't friends or family, it's just...
No, it's just...
circumstances. Just want to put that
absolutely.
Caveat in there.
Yeah, so we've... seen our parents and siblings and nieces and nephews and so on. So
it's been lovely. Our nieces and we saw our nephews.
That is true.
Yeah.
So just communicated with a niece and seen some nephews.
Yes.
Yes. So that's been really lovely. It's been lovely to kind of just, like you said, in terms of back to normal, getting back into things, just to see people, spend time with them, do some eating, do a lot of eating, some sharing presents, catching up and so on face to face. One innovation of the pandemic has been getting people together more on things like Zoom. I think my parents would never have used Zoom in 100 years if the pandemic hadn't happened, but we had to sort that out and got quickly on with that with them. And so that's been the fact that we can keep using that now and sort of see them rather than just being on the phone. It's been a good addition to life, I think.
Yeah, I'm glad that you talked about those kind of sort of normal things, because those are the sorts of things that you often hear people say when they're asked what does Christmas mean to you. They say it's family, it's friendship, it's food, it's presents, and then there's a sort of often a kickback. So I saw a notable Christian on Twitter say something like, Jesus didn't come to bring us a holiday, He came to save us, and obviously Jesus did come to save us, but there's a bit of me that actually kicks back about that and say, well, actually, yeah, he did come to bring holidays in the truest sense of the word, because I think sometimes we can get very uptight about, finding the true inner meaning of Christmas and unwrapping Christmas and that kind of thing, and to sound more sort of pietistic, but the result is we end up actually sounding quite miserable. This year, part of my campaign, I think Steve Neal up in Oldham is from sort of reading his blog, Building Jerusalem, shout out to that. I think he's on the same campaign, which is to make Christians less miserable at Christmas.
Excellent.
I've got the catch, actually. Make Christians cheerful again. Make Christmas cheerful again, that kind of thing. Because actually, I think it is a big part of it that we are meant to find hope in the darkness, life, light, joy, happiness. It is good to celebrate. It's good to enjoy food, company, presents. They're all good things. They're part of a statement that says, that in the darkness of winter, the light isn't extinguished. Which means you've got to go beyond that to say that does take you beyond it to really appreciate those things. You need to get to the one who's at the centre, the one who brings lust and hope and true light. But yeah, I'm up for family, friends. Food.
Yes, other alliterative things.
Yes, the M25.
Well, yeah, always a popular feature popular feature of our family visits and so on, around the country. What do you like about Christmas?
All of those things. And I do love carols. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's why you've done a whole series on carols.
That's why I've done a whole series on carols, and that kind of thing. And I like the lights, the decorations. Mm-hmm. I'm not one for sticking your decorations up in like July.
No.
But as soon as possible and as long as possible is good. Mm-hmm. We ended up with some of our lights up all the year through, didn't we, in the end this year, which was nice. I think because we knew we were going into the pandemic, we back into the lockdown thing.
Yeah, and they are red and green, so they look a bit Christmassy, but in terms of the colours, but just like the lights up the stairs.
They can also be used as a sort of a stop-go system.
Oh yeah, yes, it's to show if you're allowed to go up the stairs or not.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah, if I've been in the bathroom, we need the under lights, leave it 10 minutes. Kind of thing.
Your favourite Christmas carol is Christians Awake.
Salute the Happy Mon, yeah.
So explain that to us for those of us that have never heard of it. It should be a lot of people, I reckon.
There's a whole daily dose on that.
Yeah, so you can check that out as well, but just for the sake of brevity now, if you'd
like
to...
So it is a carol which seems to be, I'd say, probably most commonly sung in the north of England. Mm-hmm. Its tune is called Yorkshire, although it's not written by a Yorkshire person. That's a good reason for liking it. But, I sort of remember sort of singing it as sort of the first carol of Christmas Day. I mean, it's obviously specific to Christmas Day. I particularly love a line in that talks about the mystery of love. Mm-hmm. And, again, that just takes us back to what it's all about, that God has acted. And in the Bible, when you talk about a mystery, it's something that was hidden that is now revealed and made clear. So I think that the hymn writer there is picking up that something that was hidden, what it really meant to say that God loves us, is clearly and truly seen in the message that God loved the world, so he sent his only son. Mm. So that's why I like that one.
Excellent.
Yeah. So apart from Christmas, anything else happened this year?
Well, I don't know, there was a pandemic that carried on, we covered that.
We did, yeah.
I'm not sure what else has happened this year.
Joe Biden came to power.
Yeah, that's a big change in America.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you remember when we went to New York and we went to Trump Tower, didn't we?
Yes, that was
a scary place.
It was a lovely gold colour.
I wonder if you spoke lovely. Gold, you think has this sort of precious feel to it until you've been inside Trump Tower.
Yes, the whole wall is gold, isn't it, at the back?
Yeah.
So that's exciting. Yeah, it'd be nice to be able to travel again. That's something that's
it would.
Starting to
I don't think Donald Trump was stopping us from travel.
No, I'm talking about...
Some places in the world.
It's because you said about us going to America.
Oh, right, yeah.
That was so it'd be nice to be able to travel a bit more again. I know that the world is opening up again a bit with the pandemic, but there's still quite a lot of restriction and difficulty and change and so on around that, isn't it? I don't think I'd be rushing to travel myself just yet overseas, just because of following all the rules and the idea of getting stuck somewhere in quarantine.
That's a bit of a sort of a worrying thing. Isn't it? I suspect that is going to die down over the next year and a bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, when you can travel again overseas completely freely or more freely, where would you like to travel to?
I'd like to go back to Egypt.
Would you?
Yes.
Oh, how come?
I like Egypt. Not the sort of the tourist places. Although there are some things. Every time I've been to Egypt, has been in the middle of sort of upheaval. So there are things like this. The main sort of pyramids at Giza. I'd like to see them. Wasn't able to. I've seen them from a distance. I'd be able to get up and see the Sphinx. And there's the sort of main museum that we're able to get, but mainly just to get in. There are people that we know there, churches, hospitals, and things. And it's just a place where so much is happening, but there's also so much gospel need. Our current church has people based in Egypt, in Cairo. So there are connections there, so I'd like to go there.
Excellent.
Yeah. And probably Northern Ireland as well.
Yeah, slightly closer to home.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've still not made it across there together, have we? We should really get on with that.
We should, yeah. Where would you like to go?
I'd quite like to see a bit more of America. Seen one or two places there, but nice to go there. Nice to go to Italy.
Yeah, we were meant to go there for our honeymoon.
Yes, famous kind of story, about our honeymoon within our family, that we were hoping to go there for our honeymoon, but we couldn't afford it. But having spoken about it, my parents said, "Oh, that's a really nice idea. Italy sounds lovely," as they went to Italy instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did a lot of work towards our wedding, so it's only right and fair. We had a lovely time in Cornwall. Very nice time in
Cornwall is a nice place.
Beautiful.
Yeah, practically overseas as well.
Well, just the beaches and so a bit of theatre over there. It's very nice.
Yeah. Maybe we'll pop back there one day.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think obviously the other thing is that we ended up changing church, kind of sort of halfway through changing job for me. I guess people have heard sort of my perspective on that, that it was quite an upheaval. We ended up, for various reasons, where my time as pastor at our previous church came to an end. It was a challenging time for all sorts of reasons. In the end, there was also sort of financial pressures for the church as well. So, I mean, what is it like from the other side? So people have heard my perspective on some of those challenges, not all of them. But what is it like when your husband goes through a tough time at work, or when they end up being redundant?
Being made redundant. Yes, that's it, being redundant. I know it's only semantics, but I am an English enthusiast again.
Yeah.
Made redundant because of finances, not redundant as a person, dear.
Well, you know.
Well, you do. I'm telling you, I know.
You've got a dishwasher and everything.
What?
Maybe, yeah, well, we've got a dishwasher to do the washing up.
I don't think that makes you redundant as a person. There are quite a lot of the household tasks that need doing.
All right.
Mostly, in your case, emptying the dishwasher, which is one of your main household tasks.
That's good to know. I still have a role.
Yes. So in terms of difficulties, I mean, I think it's worth acknowledging again that we're not on our own in this, as in the pandemic's been such a difficult time for so many people. I mean, it's been a difficult time for everybody for a whole wide variety of reasons. Taking it to the specifics of sort of jobs and that kind of thing, again, we're sadly not unique in that. There have been so many people that have lost and suffered and so on in that way. So obviously there's
it's kind of one of the factors of what might have something helpful to say.
There's a security in numbers and so on. But so in terms of that, again, it's not like we're on our own. So that there is a kind of, as I said, a sort of camaraderie in that, sort of difficult though it is. And in terms of things that we've, I guess, learned through that, or that I've thought about through that, it has been, from our point of view, it's just been that absolute reliance on God and His ways and His plans. And it can sound twee sometimes when Christians say it. I'm not saying this glibly, blithely. God's in control. God's got a plan. It's very easy to say, but I think we have seen it lived out in practice as well. We've had not a lot of idea about what we're doing in all these ways in our life with what's happening, but in it, I think I've really learnt and now you've learnt as well, to say that this is in your plan, Lord. There's nothing I can do. There's nothing that we can kind of force in this situation. It is just a case of stepping back and resting in His plan and in what's happening. And just just really, really trusting Him in that.
You had to change church as well. I think that's obviously a big thing. It wasn't just sort of one of us losing a job. It was that's another interesting sort of thing. Losing a job as though I misplaced it somewhere, but being that job not being there, it was actually also the upheaval of changing church and in the middle of a pandemic. So how's that been?
Well, I just think we've been incredibly blessed in that the church that we've now gone to have been incredibly welcoming, just really astonishingly lovely and very, very good to us.
Would you recommend them to a friend?
I would recommend them to several friends. And that's for a start, it's just a sign of God's provision, what I was just saying, isn't it? It's not chance, it's not luck or fate, whatever, that we've ended up there. God's had His hand in it and has just put us among this incredible group of people, and that's back to what I said just now about not being the only one in the situation. It's about not going it alone in life in general. And people say faith can be an individual thing or a private thing. People say, I don't need community around me, I've got whatever it is that you've got, myself, I'm self-sufficient, I've got my family. But having a faith community, as we've come into here again, has been a huge blessing.
So that church is Church Central, and there's Church Central South, a school in Edgbaston, North, West and East. So they've got congregations in different parts of Birmingham, which would make it clear that that's Birmingham, not North of England, South of England.
Yeah, all in Birmingham. So that's been fantastic.
Yeah.
And it was a huge upheaval, because church is not just a place that you go once a week on a Sunday. It's a community we were part of. It was people and family and kids that we'd seen since birth and old people and that we were around a lot. And it was a huge wrench, but it's been eased by how welcome we've been.
Yeah. And what do you think 2022 holds in store?
Oh, well, I don't know, I'm of the sort of the wait and see persuasion in some ways. I think, for the world around.
You can make it as big or as small as you like.
I think, if I don't know if it's a cop-out answer to what you're kind of looking for there, but I really have, just to go back to my previous point, found that, because I'd like to be in control of things. I like a plan, I like to know what's happening, I like to be running what's happening. And actually, our plans are nothing, are they? Our plans are just sort of dust in the face of God and His plans. And whilst I'm not lazy in that, I hope I'm not just sitting back to wait for life to happen to me either, I would hope. I also don't wish to force anything. You're just looking for God's hand and God's guidance to be in it. And I think you can extrapolate that out to the world as well. People, when is COVID going to be over? It's a popular Google search, isn't it? Who knows? Hopefully it's going to start becoming more of a normal everyday thing. It's going to lose its kind of fear and the impact it's having now. But God's hand's in that too.
Yeah.
So we rest in Him.
Oh, that sounds good. That's probably a good place to finish.
Well, thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, it's nice.
You can come again.
Oh, thanks very much. Yeah, and obviously Dave is podcasting all the time, every day.
Yeah, so we do the Daily Dose every day. Had a bit of a holiday this week that there are ones to catch up with, and the Faith Roots podcast, which goes out once a week. So you can listen into them in the new year.
There's lots of things to read as well on your website.
There are, yeah. Yeah, you're good at this promotional stuff, yeah.
So I was going for seamless. There you go. Drawing attention to it. What is your website, Dave?
It's called faithroot.com.
And what's that like?
So there's it's got lots of articles. So there's usually a sort of a blog article each day. Lots of training resources. One of my pressing concerns is to help people that wouldn't be able to access things like traditional sort of theological colleges to get access to training. So there's lots of other videos and recordings, lots of PDF sort of downloads and things for people as well.
Fabulous.
Yeah. Well, so see you soon. Have a great new year. Don't forget to lateral flow test before going to a party.
Absolutely, yes. Happy New Year, everybody, and perhaps I'll see you again soon.
See you soon.
Bye.